What are you looking up?
I'm sending you videos.
Videos of what?
Leonard Cohen is the name of the person who sings the song in the Snyder Cut.
Oh, you mean the Shrek song?
That's not the Shrek song. This is the Shrek song that you love so much. Here.
Yes. I can see it now.
Yes, it is a different person.
Shrek is sitting at the table alone.
Yes, but it's not Leonard Cohen.
And, he's sad that Fiona's not there.
Right, but it's a different man who sings the song, is what I'm trying to explain to you.
And then Fiona is also sad because Shrek's not there.
You could just drop Shrek as a whole.
You're sending me so many things right now.
I'm sending you the song that's covered by two different people, and I'm showing you a comparison in the voice. You keep saying the Shrek song. It's not the Shrek song. It is not.
It's not the Shrek song. You literally sent me a link to the freaking video from Shrek.
But did you see the first one that I sent you?
Yes.
And it's by...
One is a cover of the other, I understand.
Okay.
Now I just want to watch Shrek. That's all you've made me do.
It's not a bad movie, though.
It's not. It's a great movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we discuss, when they used the song Hero in Shrek 2?
Yeah, that was a good song.
It was a great song. It was a great movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
I love that movie.
I love all the Shrek movies. And even
Shrek is life.
And I don't know about that. It's just very enjoyable for me. If I had to choose between, what is it, DreamWorks Pictures, I'm going to choose Kung Fu Panda every single time.
All right, well, you can leave now.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? That movie is 10 times better than Shrek.
Wow, I can't believe you just said that.
Now, I will say this. I'm not saying that
it's
Shrek...
like I don't even know you.
Wow. I just can't believe we're having this conversation. I will say, I'm not saying that Shrek is a bad movie. I love Shrek. Shrek is definitely up there in my top animated feature films. I'm just saying Kung Fu Panda is way above that.
How does it feel to know that you are just 100% wrong?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
How does it feel to know that you are on the wrong side of history?
How does it feel to treat me like you do? How does it feel? Tell me, how does it feel?
I'm sorry that you think this way.
And welcome to our show, First Heat Context. This is where we discuss insightful views on a routine bi-weekly basis over the incredibly nerdy things we can't stop talking about. To take you on this dorky ride are your host, Josh.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And myself, Jason. Why don't you take a seat, sit back, relax. We're here to do all the heavy lifting. It is about to get nerdy. This is episode 95.
DC everything.
That's right. DC Fandome, or DC Fandom, has finally happened.
You do that every time.
I know, but it's just a funny word. I can't help it. Anyway, it's finally happened, and true to its title, has dropped a mega ton of DC goodies, which we are going to talk about right now.
That is right. We are on our off week, so that's how much we love you guys, because, we really want to talk about this stuff too, because it's so cool. But we really want to discuss all of it.
Yes, so out of all the DC content, we actually have two categories that we're going to be splitting it up to. We have movies, and then we have games.
Yep, DC announced a slew of movie announcements, several of which we were familiar with. However, we haven't really gotten any news about them until today.
Yes, they actually...
Or yesterday.
Or, yes, if you really want to hang your cape on that pole, you can absolutely do that. But they actually dropped trailers...
You have a pole?
Whatever, the pole. You just put your cape on it like a coat hanger.
So coat rack.
Yes.
Cape Wreck.
Cape Wreck. You're absolutely right. So they dropped trailers for several movies, 5 specifically, 4-ish, 5 specifically. They have the Justice League Snyder Cut, or is it hashtag the Snyder Cut?
Hashtag the Snyder Cut.
Hashtag.
The movie is officially called Justice League hashtag the Snyder Cut.
That's the subtitle.
That's the subtitle.
So there's that. There's the Batman, because you have to be very specific in our titles now. After the Batman, there's also the Suicide Squad. There's
a lot of those.
Yeah, a lot of those.
They're being definitive.
They're being very definitive. There's WW84, which stands for Wonder Woman 2, and Black Adam. Those are the 5 films.
You get 2 from 84. You divide. I got it.
You're funny. So, which out of all of these, which one do you want to discuss first?
You know what? Can we discuss the Snyder Cut?
Yes.
Because I feel like we got some really good information from that besides the trailer itself.
Go right ahead.
So, first and foremost, let's just talk about the trailer really quick of the footage that we saw. So a lot of it, right off the bat, you see Darkseid.
Yes.
Like, he's just there.
Right.
And he actually looks pretty good. I'm sure there's still a little bit more work to be done on both him and Steppenwolf, which, by the way, Steppenwolf already looks better than he did previously. But yeah, he's looking there. CG is already looking a little bit better than the 2017 cut of the film.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been 3 years, and it'll be 4 by the time the film comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of scenes in there, a lot of new stuff with, Ezra Miller's Flash. More than likely, that was Iris West that was on the ground.
Probably.
And then we got a lot of stuff with Ray Fisher, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And you can already tell just by this cut, like, how much footage was truly taken out of that original movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, I mean, there's still glimpses of things that we did see from the 2017 cut, but there's a good chunk, and there's enough here for you to go, this is a completely different movie than what it was original, than what we had seen already, which I'm intrigued with. What did you think of it?
I mean, I loved it. I loved it. I think a lot of us are going to be very surprised at the final product and what we are actually going to get, because this is not going to be the intended theatrical cut. We're getting the perfect full version that Zack Snyder had intended to come out at the time that it was supposed to be released in 2017, sans all of the internal issues. Who knows what was even happening? I feel like it was just a perfect storm of all these terrible things that just aligned together for Zack to say, you know what, I gotta take a step back.
Yeah.
So, who knows at this point? I mean, I was impartial to Joss Whedon's version. It didn't really bother me as much as it did other people. And the reason why I say that is, of course, the movie could have been better. But it's like, what do you choose to focus in on? I like Man of Steel a lot. I was very excited for Batman v Superman, and obviously Justice League, just because I was just interested in seeing how this was all going to happen and all of these changes that were being made. I was speculating much differently from how other people were speculating. Who knows? Maybe this is not going to be the Superman trilogy that we got. Maybe we are actually going to be able to see something a little bit more. And it could also revitalize the DCEU as we know it, because it's been something that many people have been excited for. But obviously, after Justice League came out, a lot of things started to fizzle away. Ezra Miller nearly lost, access to the movie that he was hired to do. Same thing with Ray Fisher and Cyborg. I mean, we were supposed to get a lot of movies, and obviously it didn't really make sense in the timeline. But, I mean, it is what it is at this point. So, who knows what's going to happen at the end of this? We might actually get multiple versions of characters because we have announcements for new movies. So watching this and seeing Ben Affleck and how he's going to be coming back, because that's also new movie news that we haven't even discussed. He's coming back along with Michael Keaton.
Yep.
in the Flashpoint, movie for Flash. Who knows what's happening? I mean, at this point, I'm not complaining. I'm really not complaining. I think this is just what DC wants to do. I think this is what Warner Brothers wants to do. They just want to make movies. They don't really want full continuity. I think they can get some flexibility in that, gain a different vision, and just build into their franchise, no matter how disparate it may seem.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's that they don't necessarily... It's not that they don't care about continuity. I think they're just going about it with the way that they've kind of been doing the CW shows. They're just saying that, hey, you know what? There's a multiverse out there. And with that multiverse, that means we can have all these movies, and they're all technically canon to their own universes.
Right.
So I think that's the route that they're going. So they're kind of using the multiverse to be that excuse for, well, we can make, whatever movie we want now at this point, because we can just say, oh, well, that movie takes place in Earth 7002 or something.
Right.
And, you have the continuity for the Justice League movie, which, Flashpoint will also technically be in, I would assume. But guess what? Flashpoint, the point of that is so that he can travel to different multiverses, right?
Right.
So, boom, there you go. The Joker movie that we, reviewed of, about almost a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
That Joker, we were always like, oh, how can that Joker appear alongside the Batman that we know, either the Ben Affleck version or now, when we'll talk about in a little bit, the Robert Pattinson version. Like, how does he fit into that? Well, maybe he doesn't, but he's the Joker of that universe, whatever that universe is, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, going forward, it's at this point, it's not a matter of, is this one continued story like Marvel, but is this, the multiverse of DC at this point? Which I guess Marvel will dabble into going forward with, the new Doctor Strange movie, but we don't know what that's like. But anyway, we'll see what we get from there.
And I'm okay with this. Honestly, I'm excited for all of this. I just wish that they told us that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people would have had less of a negative reaction if they were just forthright in saying, hey, listen, be coy about it too, like, hey, listen, I know a lot of people are asking to see if there's any type of continuity as we see with Marvel. We love Marvel with what they do. We do want to do something different, and we believe that you're going to like the outcome of that. Sure. And I would have been okay with that. I would have been like, oh, cool, like that's the official statement from DC, whoever's running it at this point, because we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I feel like they don't even have to say it. That's just me. Them showing all these different movies is them saying it.
Now they're showing it. Yeah. But in 2015...
Well, that's what the point of this was, right? That's what the point of DC Fandom was, to show off what they're doing.
Absolutely. But you have to remember...
And they showed off.
They did, and I'm thrilled. Honestly, I'm thrilled. I haven't been this thrilled in a while because there's a lot of other DC stuff that we would like to address. But remember, the movie for Justice League came out in 2017.
Yeah.
When they made announcements, it was 2015.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion that's happening between 2015.
It was a different plan then.
But let us know. I mean, just be transparent. I'm a big fan for transparency. If you don't know what's going on, just say hey, we're trying out some things. Let us and we'll see how people react to it. I don't think you need to be that. You don't hold your cards so close to the chest. We're smart. We know what you're doing because we can see it.
Right.
That's all.
But yeah, no, I get you. I understand. But possibly besides the trailer, the biggest news, I think, was how this movie was going to release.
Sure.
So there have been tons of rumors beforehand on, would it be 5 hours long? Would they cut it into 6 episodes, whatever it is? We finally got confirmation. It will be released in 4 one-hour segments. And then there is also the option to watch it as a full cut movie of 4 hours.
I think this is great news.
I think it is as well.
I mean, it's considerate. It's really considerate. Yeah. The reason why I say that is because because there's online streaming services and because these things are so accessible and there's so many different people that live different types of lives. I mean, there's some people who are night owls, Josh. There are people who,
I feel attacked.
I'm just saying you're not necessarily a morning person. Just like it's the truth. I'm not saying anything that's not true.
I feel attacked again, but you were correct.
What I like is that you have options as a viewer. If I'm trying to present this to somebody and they say, yeah, I'm married, I have kids, I have a job that's very demanding on my life, I only have X amount of hours to dedicate towards this, they can take the route of episodical structure. They can watch the first episode and then we could discuss it and say like, hey, what did you think of that first part? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's awesome. And it's an hour. Everyone can get an hour for entertainment. When you drop a movie and it's 3+ hours, that becomes a little harder to watch because then you have to resume it. But when you make it episodical, like in this way, it's just easier to consume. It's easier for you to pick up. You can make a party out of it, and you can just view a specific episode when you're going back to it again, as opposed to sitting down and committing 4 hours. I think it's great, honestly. I'm curious to see if the cut is going to be different, or in this 4-hour piece, theatrical release, is it going to like be this one full, I guess, edit, or is it going to be cut as if there's just 4 episodes just mushed together? Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that too. And but at the same time, it's like I'm already like ready to like watch the whole thing in one go.
Yeah.
So, I may, check out the 1-hour installments just to see like where they cut and things like that.
Right.
Or it'd be a fun game just for me to figure out, like, as I'm watching the full 4-hour version, like, okay, they probably cut right there, and then
right.
I don't know, I just like that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is great, like you said, because there are probably going to be a good chunk of people that are like, all right, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this full 4-hour cut.
Right.
And then there's going to be the people that are like, you know what, I do want to watch this. I don't have 4 hours today, but maybe I can give this an hour for 4 days or whatever it is. So I like that there's an option. I like that there is choice. So whenever there's choice, it's good.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm, like I said, you said, I said, I think this is interesting. I, again, like how this is being presented. I think it's fantastic it's being released on the streaming service. I'm actually a big fan of HBO Max. I've been watching it. There's a lot of content that's outside of some of the other streaming services that I have. So, right. I mean, this is something to, to have exclusive content that you can only watch on HBO Max, especially during 2020. I'm hoping that a lot of this stuff has gone away, but it's just something to look forward to, honestly.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And moving right along, the next topic that we're going to be discussing is going to be the Batman. But before we discuss that, we're going to take a break for some messages. And we're back. So, the next topic on the list is going to be the Batman, who stars Robert Pattinson. This has been a talking point for many fans. It's been a talking point certainly for us because a lot of people just can't see Robert Pattinson. Well, that's not true. There's a lot of people who can see Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and Batman. There's a lot of people who cannot get over the fact that Robert Pattinson played a glittery vampire in a teenage romance sci-fi film based on a book called Twilight. I wasn't necessarily vexed by this movie. I just thought this movie wasn't for me. I have been watching Robert Pattinson grow as an actor. I think he has fantastic range. I have been curious to see why they went that route. And we finally are able to see a preview of what to expect. And boy, I am ready. I am absolutely ready for this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was trying to see what my take on Pattinson was on the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I felt like I said, hey, you know what? Let's give him a chance because I know he's a good actor outside of the whole Twilight situation or whatever it is. Twilight, that's a whole conversation on itself. That's the writing. That's the direction that they want that movie to go in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch any of Pattinson's other films, he's a really good actor.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Let's give the man a chance. And then this trailer came out. And I want to see this movie right now.
I do too.
Just like he says one thing in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
He says 2 words, 1 phrase.
Yep.
That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Because literally his introduction at the trailer, you know, you got Jim Gordon played by Jeffrey Wright, by the way, which
I love Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's going to kill it as Gordon. But, you know, you have narration by Gordon reading off a riddle left by the Riddler, presumably. And then, you know, he turns to Batman, and he's literally just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Pattinson's Batman is doing. He's just standing there. But it looks incredibly intimidating, and it looks perfect. I love the suit. I think I said originally when we first saw like that, you know, tease video that they put out, that Matt Reeves put out a while ago. I was like, it looks like the Arkham suit. This solidifies it, or the Arkham Knight suit rather, like the mechanical one,
right?
That he wears, and this to me solidifies that look. And I'm like, yep, nope, that's perfect. Yeah, I cannot wait for this film. And then, of course, there's the scene that everybody's talking about from this trailer. You know the one.
Is it the Batmobile?
Or no, not the Batmobile.
Oh, I love that Batmobile though.
That Batmobile is great, but no. I'm talking about the beatdown that he gives this man.
Yeah. I've watched it like 18 times myself.
Yeah, I watched it quite a few as well, and every single time you get to that point where he just walks up to this dude and just like the pure rage you feel in his punches. Oh my god, and it's so brutal and it's so good. And I was reading a lot of different comments, and a lot of people were like, I'm glad they did not cut away. Like, they didn't have these, like, quick cuts. They were just like, nope, let it sit.
Yep. Yeah.
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are a lot of movies where if something like that is being shown, they'll, like, clip away. Or, like, you know, do fast edits.
Yeah.
But no, they just let it sit.
To illustrate that point, I think it's really good that you brought that up, because when you have a movie like Star Wars and the new trilogy that was made by Disney, there's this scene in The Force Awakens where Kylo Ren is very angry that what he has asked for has not happened, and he kind of goes ham on the console that he's standing in front of when the people that he's been looking to acquire have escaped. So, I mean, he takes out his lightsaber and he starts slashing the wall on the console, and it cuts away and you see the fear in somebody's eyes. It's actually a very clever trick that happens in film, where you're not actually seeing the destruction, but you feel the fear based on whoever is experiencing it. So once that destruction is gone, then you're left with just the fear, because that's what you have been presented. That's what you have been shown.
Mm-hmm.
It's really smart when somebody decides to do this, because if you show the flip side and you don't see the reaction, or you focus less on the reaction and you just focus on the actual punches of the actual event, then that's not something that every filmmaker or film crew can do, because if the actor doesn't elicit that emotion, then it falls flat. It doesn't hold that same weight. So
right.
I like this scene because you do see a reaction, but it's not as concentrated as what you see Robert Pattinson, Bruce Wayne, Batman doing. So I also think it's interesting that every single Batman film that you've seen always has this moment where it's Batman versus the bad guy, and Batman introduces himself. It's almost a meme at this point. I mean, we've seen, how it should have ended series. Batman is constantly saying, "I'm Batman." He does that because it's a trope. Every single Batman movie, he introduces himself to the bad guys. He doesn't really say that in this trailer. He introduces himself as Vengeance. I thought was really smart.
Yes, and again, it's only one phrase that he murmurs or whatever, but like, I already like his take on like the Batman voice. Like, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But real quick for the rest of the trailer, so we see Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. You get a quick shot of Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Great makeup.
You get Zoe Kravitz's Selena Kyle.
Awesome reveal.
Yes, very cool. I did not know that she was going to be in it, honestly. And then you also have, how do you say his last name? Dano? Paul Dano, Riddler.
Yeah.
Which I thought he was Hush when I first saw.
I thought so too. And
then they started doing the riddles, and I'm like, oh. Okay.
I'm a big fan of Hush. When, I feel like for many people, they're familiar with the comics because that may be what they grew up with. They are familiar with the cartoons, which is what I'm more familiar with. And a lot of people are familiar with the games. That's, their entrance into this universe. Or it could be the movies. Sure. For me, it was less the comic books. It was more like the cartoon. That's how I understood the lore. And there were certain people that they presented and certain people they did not present. Batman is definitely not a character for kids. And I'm realizing this because there was actually a free documentary that was presented free for download for DC Fandome based on the Joker. I downloaded it instantly. I watched it. I don't know if you got it.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, I thought it was great, but it was actually talking about how this character was really never meant for kids. They nerfed him in the 60s and the 70s because, the comics code and, they wanted to make it, mainstream. So there's certain elements that you just have to tone down.
Sure.
When Tim Burton came with the 90s, there was a resurgence in popularity. Obviously, right on the heels of that, they had the Batman animated series that premiered on Fox Kids. That's certainly how I come to know Batman, much more intimately than I had been before in the past.
Sure.
Yeah, there's still a lot of characters that were in there that I'm very familiar with, but there were some characters that were not known to me, like Professor Pig, the Victor Zsasz. There's a lot of disturbing characters in Batman lore that I just wasn't familiar with until I got a little bit older, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is troubling to say the least.
For sure.
So, Hush is another one who, I forget his real name. It escapes me now. Thomas Elliot. That's right.
Yes.
Thomas Elliot. He is his own person, but he actually is a surgeon. He's the son of also doctors, just very much like Bruce. And he has the ability to make his face look exactly like Bruce. And he's a villain in Batman lore. And I knew about him before the Arkham series, but obviously in Arkham Knight, he became a much more prominent figure.
Yes.
So,
there was also, wasn't there an animated movie called Batman Hush?
Yes, there was an animated. I didn't like that one. I thought it was okay. I'm not saying it was a terrible movie. Pretty much I love all the Batman movies, but there are just some that I love way more than others.
Oh, sure.
But
Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are my top two: Mask of the Phantasm and Under the Red Hood. Yeah, it's like nothing can touch those movies, no matter what. We may disagree with Shrek and Kung Fu Panda. That's okay, but those movies.
That's a different conversation.
But these movies, I mean, yeah, Batman has a lot of great content, as we're going to discuss in a moment with the games that are coming out. But I mean, I'm excited for this movie. It's really what it is at the end of the day. I think it's a great take, and I have thrown caution to the wind as far as continuity is concerned. I don't know how this is going to relate to the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't know how this is going to relate with the multiverse. which we discussed before. Who knows at this point? But at this point, it is what it is. It's a Batman movie. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for this. I really, really cannot wait until next year when the film comes out to see it. But one thing really, really quickly before we move on, I did also want to note that alongside this movie, there is also going to be an HBO Max series called Gotham PD. Gotham PD is tied to this film.
Really?
So Matt Reeves has pretty much confirmed that the film is set during year 2 of Batman's career, but Gotham PD on HBO Max will be set during year 1 of the Batman. So basically, there's going to be some cool stuff in that show, with Batman kind of like in the background and how the cops are dealing with this new vigilante and all this stuff. So I just thought that was a cool little concept where, you see already that Batman's working with Gordon here in year 2, and then year 1, he's probably just like this person that they want to stop or figure out who he is, right?
I mean, it's interesting. I'd love to see the show. Obviously, I have access to it, but it's like, I suppose this is what Gotham, the Fox series, was supposed to be.
Right.
But it ended up turning out to be more like Smallville.
Yeah.
Where they didn't really tie it to anything, just made its own universe.
Exactly. That was my one gripe, because I think we talked about this. We didn't have this was before we had our podcast, but it was like, I was really excited to see, the show about Jim Gordon before Batman. And then it kind of turned into Jim Gordon, and then Batman is kind of there, but not really. So, I don't know.
So, who knows who the Batman is going to be? I mean, I very much doubt. I could be wrong, but I doubt that Robert Pattinson is going to continuously show up.
I don't think he's going to show up, but I do think you'll see glimpses.
Yeah, and I wonder how good a show like that can be. Because we talked about this for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, we thought that, there would be more heroes in that show, and that never happened.
But at the same time, though, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has always, as much as they wanted to say, we've had this argument a billion times, as much as they wanted to say, oh yeah, it's connected 100%. Like, we know that show at this point has nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Continuity.
Right.
Whereas this, Matt Reeves is specifically saying, no, yes, this will 100% be year 1, and then this movie takes place in year 2.
So we'll see. I mean, I
see what happens.
I would love to see what happens, but there's some more stuff that we are going to talk about. The next topic, which doesn't have too much attached, but it's still chock full of information, if that makes sense. It's going to be The Suicide Squad. That's actually directed by James Gunn. Before we dive into this, we're going to take another break. And we're back. So the next topic of discussion is going to be The Suicide Squad. This has been a highly discussed movie since the announcement, after James Gunn was unceremoniously booted off of his Disney property with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Man's got to eat, so, I mean, Warner Brothers was very quick to pick him up for The Suicide Squad, which was technically a reboot, but we don't really know. But we do know now. So, I mean, we've been asking questions about this. I know you want to know. Some of the characters are the same, as we can clearly see. Some of the characters are not. It happens. Is this a period piece? Because it looks like it's taking place in the 70s.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's
because to me, like, so I mean, we're gonna use obviously Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn here. Like, it feels like this could take place right after Birds of Prey.
Right, because Viola Davis is in it.
Yes. So the returning people are Viola Davis's Amanda Waller. We got Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
Yep.
We have Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag.
Yep. And Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, who's like my favorite. I love him. He's great.
Yeah, he was fun. He was great. So it's like, okay, so they're back. So I would assume that first movie happened.
Right. But
And if that movie happened, Birds of Prey happened because she referenced that movie in Birds of Prey.
Right.
So if this is a continuation of that, then they all happened.
But see, now here's the question.
And then we have the Harley Quinn trilogy.
Here we go again. So this is the things that are going to just confuse people, because apparently there's a David Ayer cut of the first Suicide Squad movie. And it's like, what? Where are we going from here, friends? We need to know.
Well, I mean, I think they were supposed to be stopping somebody from... It's supposed to be tied to Darkseid in some way, I remember.
No.
But I don't remember the exact specifics. But I feel like there's another group of people trying to get the Ayer cut out, so...
I mean, at this point, look, I think it all went downhill after Sonic happened. They released that trailer, and Sonic fans were not having it. They were like, I think we might have to do the impossible and bend. They bend.
Like that's a different story.
Yeah, but like after that, then we had the Justice League Snyder Cut is out now.
That's been going on for way longer than Sonic.
True. I'm just saying, they only announced it after Sonic.
Yeah.
Can't tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, yes, they only announced it after Sonic, but that was because they've been begging for this cut of this film for 3 years.
And they could have continued saying no. You have to look at
But then Warner Brothers likes money, so.
True. Who doesn't? But all I'm trying to illustrate here is the timing of the events is really important. After Sonic happened, my concern was just like, if they do it, that means they all have to do it. Because it's like, you can't ignore the fans. I'm telling you, you can, but I'm just like, everyone is asking for George Lucas to come back to Star Wars, and I'm like, ooh, keep going, you guys. You might just get him back, and you might be equally upset that you did. People have a short-term memory. Just saying. Just saying.
You're not wrong.
But we say all this to say,
yeah. But so they showed off the Suicide Squad. It wasn't necessarily a teaser trailer per se, but it was like more of a cast reveal.
Announcement, cast reveal.
It was more of an announcement, cast reveal, and then just like a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Which the behind the scenes stuff was really cool.
Right.
But they have the full list of the cast here, so we're just going to go down really quickly. So we finally know who Idris Elba is playing. He is playing Bloodsport.
Not Deadshot.
Not Deadshot. So this, again, could very well take place after the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Margot Robbie's back to Harley Quinn. John Cena as Peacemaker.
I love his character, by the way, and how he's been explained as the quote-unquote douchey Captain America.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm excited to see him.
As always.
We have Viola Davis coming back as Amanda Waller. We have Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang again. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. David... I'm so sorry, my friend. Desmalchian?
I'll say yes.
You've definitely seen this guy before. He's been in a lot of things.
Specifically.
He was in The Dark Knight.
Exactly. And he was also in Ant-Man series.
Was he? Oh, yes, he was in Ant-Man. That's right.
Yes, he was.
That's right. But he's playing Polka Dot Man.
He is in like the Flynn. Baba Yaga, sleep and paint.
Oh my God, the Baba. Real quick. When he screams, Baba Yaga, when he just appears out of nowhere. So good. So good.
Yes. Him and T.I.
Anyway.
Perfect combination.
Perfect. Oh my God. I want more Lewis, though.
Yes.
God, I want more Lewis. Then we also have Daniela Melchior, but she is playing Ratcatcher the second, apparently.
The second.
We have Steve Agee.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. He will mocap for King Shark. We have the lovely Sean Gunn,
who's
playing Weasel as mocap as well.
Basically Rocket.
It's basically Rocket. We have Flula Borg playing Javelin.
Mm-hmm.
We have the one and only Nathan Fillion playing TDK.
Love Nathan.
We have the Doctor, Peter Capaldi, as the Thinker.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Davidson as Blackguard. Alice Braga as Solaros. Sozoria? I don't know who that is, actually.
I don't know any of these people. I do know the Polka Dot Man, so there's that.
Yeah. We have Mei Ling Wen as Mongol.
Mm-hmm.
We have Michael Rooker, of course. It's a James Gunn film, after all, as Savant. Storm Reed as Tyla, Bloodsport's daughter, apparently. We have Jennifer Holland as Amelia Harcourt, and then Juan Diego Boto as Luna.
Yep. A lot of people.
There's a lot of people. Out of all of these people, I maybe know half of them.
Yeah, I know Bloodsport. I know Harley Quinn. I know Peacemaker.
Well, yeah, those.
Obviously, Amanda Waller, Captain Boomerang, who's like slowly becoming my favorite. We'll explain for the second half of the show. Rick Flag, I do know of. Polka Dot Man, I do know of. Ratcatcher, no. King Shark, yes. Weasel, maybe. Javelin, yes. TDK, no. Thinker, yes. Blackcard, no. Salsauria, no. Bongle, yes. Savant, yes.
I do know Savant.
Tyla, no. Amelia, no. Luna, no.
Yeah. So, but it's a good list.
Great
good list of people we have here. I do like all the actors, so listen.
And I love James Gunn. I mean, at this point, I really just want to see, like, what does he have inside of him that he wants to, like, share with the world?
Exactly. Like, I really want to see his version of the Suicide Squad, because he just brings, like, this creativity out. And especially, like, when he's working with his brother, Sean. And, like, his version of Worlds is what I really like.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited to see this film. I wasn't necessarily excited before he was announced, but after I was like, all right, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Because it's James Gunn. So how could it not be good?
Yeah, and like I said, if you happen to watch the trailer, which we will post in the show notes and on the website, you will see all the strange, crazy stuff that's in the trailer so far, as well as the Snyder Cut and the Batman and the other two things that we're going to mention, obviously. But I think 2021 is going to be a very interesting year. Who knows if it's going to come out in theaters or if it's going to come out to streaming, but they're coming out and progress is being made. So the fact that they're making these announcements is actually just really comforting for me. Like, life hasn't stopped. Life is going on. People are working. This is good. This is actually all fantastic news for multiple reasons.
For sure.
So we're going to talk about the next topic. But before we do, we have more messages. And we're back. So this is like a two-parter in one section, but one has a lot more information than the other. The next thing that we're going to be discussing is going to be Wonder Woman, the sequel, otherwise known as WW84. I think this is I was a big fan of the first trailer that came out. I think the song is amazing. I'm always a big fan of the music that you choose to present your product. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, I love Gal Gadot. She did a great job in Wonder Woman. I love her film. I love everything that she's been in so far. Justice League, Batman vs Superman. So I'm ready for this. I don't know what happens next. We obviously have some questions. Chris Pine is here. He recognizes her. How is this happening? Who knows? We'll find out, I'm sure.
It's comic books. People live all the time.
Yeah, right. Don't you people ever die?
Ugh, God.
Yeah, we're not. No. Yeah, we're not fans of him anymore, are we? No.
Hey, do you want to know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
You don't get hired ever again.
I'm rewatching those films right now.
Are you?
Getting ready for New Mutants.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I would love to. I just can't.
It's okay. We're talking about Wonder Woman right now.
Yeah, we are.
Second trailer? Second trailer 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trailer 2 dropped during DC Fandome. Patty Jenkins debuted it. And, I mean, I was ready with the first trailer, but I'm more ready now. I just want to see this movie at this point.
Kristen Wiig is Cheetah. I mean,
Kristen Wiig looks like she's doing awesome.
I'm every single time she's in anything, I'm just like drawn to whatever she's doing. She's so good. She's so good. I'm so interested in seeing how this is going to play out, because what I'm seeing so far in the trailer, thumbs up all the way. I don't think there's even anything bad that anything has dropped out of DC Fandome.
No, everything that they announced during this entire event has just been amazing.
Yeah.
I feel they did a really good job in this event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the trailer was great. I love seeing more Kristen Wiig, just like you said, and her like transformation to Cheetah is looking really, really cool.
Right.
I just want this movie. I really do.
Yeah.
Like the first one was like we both enjoyed the first one. A lot of people have always said, yeah, the movie's great, and then the third act isn't that great, which
didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't bother me either. Like I still think it's a great movie. It's a great film. This one looks to be even better, so I cannot wait.
Right.
Just the imagery of her riding lightning is dope. Her using her lasso and then getting rid of the bullets, that is great.
Love it.
Like, I really want to see this movie.
So do I.
So it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, there wasn't really much more information other than just showing the trailer, which again we were already sold. So
I've been waiting for this after the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yes.
I think I may watch it after we finish recording. I think that might be a thing.
Hey, listen, I'll do it.
I will do it.
Film.
I will do it. So,
do it.
Wonder Woman 84, it will be coming out.
1984.
We clearly are excited for all of these things, and also wasn't expecting to hear any information. However, we did get yet another trailer. It's kind of like a sub trailer because it doesn't really show information, but it does.
It's like a concept trailer.
Concept trailer. Perfect. That's exactly the word that I was not looking for. Black Adam. The concept trailer is out, which features narration by The Rock or Dwayne Johnson, however, which way you got introduced to him. But the concept art is actually presented by Boss Logic, who's very popular on Twitter, with a lot of the edits and cuts and posters and teaser videos that he kind of creates on his own. I love Boss Logic. I've been following him for several years now, and I always just kind of like, how he discusses, current events or announcements like these, with his own takes. But this looks like an official partnership. If this was concept, trailer that was presented at DC Fandome. So congratulations for Boss Logic. I think this is an amazing step in his career moving forward. It looked legit. I want obviously a little bit more, and I don't believe they have even started filming yet. But from what we see, yeah, this looks great. And if The Rock is willing to obviously work with this and present this and tweet this, obviously quality is something that he's excited for. That's not something that he's not going to compromise on. So if this is what a taste is of what's to come, I'm down. I'm always ready for a Rock movie. Probably a little bit more than you.
Depends on what the movie is, as long as it's
not Rampage. I know, Rampage. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, as long as it's not that, we're good.
Any other terrible movies from The Rock that you are not interested in seeing?
I haven't watched Skyscraper yet.
It's I'm a fan. You may not be.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I watched Doom again, like maybe 2-3
I would say that you
ago,
can watch Doom, but you can't watch Rampage.
Because I actually like Doom.
Yeah, but it's
he doesn't like Doom, but I like Doom.
I don't know. It's just interesting. If you
it's
can
also got Carl Urban. Like, come on, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun movie.
Rampage though.
It's not a. I will watch Doom 1,000 times before I watch Rampage.
You have problems with me watching Kung Fu Panda over Shrek.
All right. Well, that is just an argument that nobody is on your side with, so it's okay.
I beg to differ. I really, really, really beg to differ.
You know what? I'm going to put a Twitter poll out later after we finish recording. We're gonna
By all means.
All right. Okay, so besides the trailer, they did also announce a few other things alongside it, specifically who Black Adam will face off against.
Mm-hmm.
So he will actually, this movie will also be introducing the Justice Society of America. So, who will Black Adam face? He's actually going to go up against Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and Cyclone.
Dr. Fate, that's going to be interesting.
That's going to be very interesting. But I am excited.
So am I.
I really want to see
So we don't know if Zachary Levi is going to actually show up in this film.
Well, this is before Levi's, isn't he?
Still going to have a cameo.
Probably have a cameo.
We don't know what the timeline is going to be.
Yeah, we don't know that. However, Please tell me I wasn't the only one. When the trailer started and you hear, Dwayne's narration, and then you see concept art of Egypt.
Yeah.
I immediately thought Scorpion King. I'm like, oh no. This is not good.
I like the Scorpion. I love Rock's movies. I don't care how bad, quote unquote, they are. I just love The Rock.
I mean, the Mummy 2 Scorpion King popped up in my head specifically.
Yeah.
The ending.
I saw the actual Scorpion King movie.
Now that I think about it, I don't know if I've seen it completely.
Damn.
I'll watch it.
But not Rampage.
No, absolutely not. Once was enough.
We just need to discuss exactly why this was so bad. I think this might be the worst reviewed movie by you.
It just wasn't good to me.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, so we got, that cool concept art. We know who he's facing up against. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then really, really quickly, just to throw it in there, speaking of Zachary Levi's Shazam, they did get a title for Shazam 2. Shazam 2 will be called Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Ooh, can't wait.
So we got some cool Shazam things going on there,
yeah.
Which I did really like the first Shazam movie. I thought it was very funny.
I thought it was great.
So I'm excited for this. And I'm not really a huge Shazam guy either.
Neither am I. But the animated movie that featured him and Superman versus Black Adam was amazing. Well. Loved it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to actually switch gears. We're going to start talking about some video games, which we love to do here at FGC Podcast. But before that, we're actually going to take a long break with actual break music because we used to do that a long time ago, but this is appropriate. We're going to take that break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about video games. DC video games. Maybe some other video games. Maybe. I don't know. Welcome back to the FGC Podcast. We are your hosts, Jace and Josh. We're back, and we're talking more about DC Fandome. It was a phenomenal event that dropped a lot of information that many people are very excited about. We just went through a whole slew of movie announcements and trailers, but on the other side of the entertainment spectrum, there is the interactive platform. And the interactive platform are video games. I don't know why I made it sound so technical, but You
made it sound very technical. I'm very confused.
Yeah, I'm just going to cut it all down to... They announced some DC video games, and we're going to talk about them right now. Which one would you like to talk about first?
You know what? Let's start out with Warner Bros. Montreal.
Great. Warner Bros. Montreal has come out with an announcement for a new game. I have so many questions about this.
Yes.
They actually showed two trailers. One was a trailer for Gotham Knights, the official trailer, which is like a cinematic tease of the idea of it. Josh, do you want to talk a little bit about what happens inside this trailer?
Yeah, so this trailer starts off by setting up the fact that Bruce Wayne / Batman is dead.
That's terrible. Killed the Batman.
It's a replay. Although he did die at the end of Arkham Knight, quote unquote, just saying. Anyway, so it shows up with him being dead, and he has sent a video to 4 people. These 4 people happen to be Batgirl, Robin, Tim Drake Robin, Dick Grayson's Nightwing, Barbara Gordon is Batwoman, by the way, or Batgirl, whatever. Is it Batgirl or Batwoman?
I'd say Batgirl.
Batwoman
is
Gordon's Batgirl.
Kate Kane.
You're right. That's correct. And then finally, Jason Todd's Red Hood.
My favorite.
Yes. He is your boy.
He's the boy. I finally get to say it now.
You finally get to say it. Oh, look at you. You're growing up. So the trailer shows the 4 of them pretty much tearing through Gotham. trying to keep the peace that Batman himself once kept.
Right.
And it basically introduces you to these characters and that they are going to be the new protectors of Gotham, the Gotham Knights, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And they show off some cool concept of what you're going to be able to do. And then at the very end, they show a tease, which is what has been teased about this game for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is they are going to delve into the Court of Owls storyline for the game.
Right.
Which is this whole secret society thing that's going on in Gotham. So it's going to be really cool.
It's going to be interesting.
It's very interesting. And I'm both happy and not happy at the same time that it's not a Batman game per se.
Yeah.
But
preaching to the
at
choir.
the same time, I'm excited because it is something new.
Yeah. So after the cinematic trailer, which obviously we'll put in the show notes so you can see and judge for yourself, they showed and presented, 7 minutes of the very first gameplay trailer.
Yes.
Which is very rare to have something, I guess, this early. I'm always a little hesitant about seeing gameplay, information so quickly after the announcements. Or maybe they've been holding on to this because of COVID. Who actually knows? But from what I've seen, it certainly looks phenomenal. I'm definitely interested in this. And I had many questions, which I'm going to ask some questions, and you're going to answer to the best of your ability because you're the expert. I've dubbed you the expert right now.
Oh, thanks.
So, my first question for the gameplay trailer, and again, if you're watching this, you can pause now, watch it, and then come back, and then we're obviously going to dissect this. Is this an exclusive, Josh?
So it is not an exclusive.
And for context, just for context, the reason why we're talking about this is because the Avengers beta has come out. People have been talking about this over and over. We haven't talked about it. We might talk about it at the end of the show. We're not really sure yet. But one news that has obviously dropped since then is that Spider-Man, who is Josh's boy.
My boy!
Every single time. Anyways, Spider-Man is an exclusive character on a cross-platform game. It's just for Sony. It doesn't really make sense, but it sounds like something that Sony would do.
You're not wrong.
But
because they did do it.
Yes. And so there were yes, they did do it. But rumors have been coming around for a while now that Microsoft was going to purchase Batman to make him an exclusive character. And people were up in arms saying, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I think the dynamic is 100% different. 100% different. And if it did come to that, honestly, I'm just going to say, I'll just wait. Because I just don't see myself, it wouldn't warrant me saying, I'm going to get Xbox just to get that game. It's just not happening for me at all.
No, you didn't have to. You could have just gone to PC.
Yeah, that's also not happening. I don't love Batman that much in order for that to happen. So the reason why I asked the question, is this an exclusive, is because that would finally give an answer to the question that many people have been asking about. Is any of this stuff going to be exclusive? So this game, according to you, is not exclusive?
Correct. It is coming to current and next gen consoles.
Excellent. So
all of them.
So you will be able.
Well, except for Switch, I think.
Well, yeah, we're not going to put that in there. But if you have a PS4, you absolutely can get Gotham Knights. If you have an Xbox, you absolutely can get that. If you decide to get the next console, Series Xbox Series X, or PS5, you can also get it there as well.
Yep.
So the next question I have is, if you're watching this, you probably saw some text, or you probably heard the narrator say that this is pre-alpha. What does pre-alpha mean?
So pre-alpha basically means that internally in development, the game is at a stage where the developers can play it. The developers can give it to test players inside to play it, and it's playable.
To say the least.
However, it's riddled with bugs.
Riddled
with bugs. I get it, Riddler.
Every time.
But essentially, it's just so they can get player feedback, and so there's a lot of things that can still change. Not like huge things, but like let's say gameplay beats and stuff like that can change, and they can move things around.
Loading times.
And it's not ready for a widespread release.
Right.
Like far from ready.
Gotcha. So that's a very long time ago. Josh and I used to do learning time where we actually talked about a lot of the stuff, but we kind of covered everything that we would ever need to talk about. So we don't do learning time. So I think learning these terms are very important. Just
to give like an idea of like if you watch the trailer, there's certain things that you can see already that in another game would be finished, but it's not finished here. One of the things that caught my eye almost instantly was during the gameplay trailer at the very beginning when Barbara is on the bike. The cape physics, they are not finished at all. Like you can see that her cape is stiff and not really moving too much.
Right.
So things like that is what's missing from the final product.
Also, when she turns to bank a corner, you hear the sound of the rubber skidding against the concrete, but there's no tire marks, there's no smoke, there's no friction. It's just slides across like ice, which makes sense because in this trailer you see that this place is getting covered in ice. But there should be some type of marking or some type of particle movement.
Yeah, like not all the details aren't there yet, which would make sense if this is a pre-alpha build because they're not worried about that right now. They're worried if the thing will
play and function. But nevertheless, for a pre-alpha build, what you see in this, it still looks amazing.
Still looks really good.
Yeah. So that's my second question. The third question that I have is this in the Arkham universe or not? Because I can't stop hearing about this question over and over and over. So is it?
So this game is not part of the Arkham universe.
Okay. Because it looks like it could.
Its own thing. Looks like it could be, but it's not.
Okay.
It's its own separate thing.
Okay. So if it's not in the Arkham universe, it follows into my next question, which is, it looks like Rocksteady made this because it really does look like Rocksteady.
Sure.
Do they have any influence on the gameplay mechanics? Because a lot of this stuff is looking pretty familiar, like grappling, like attacks, and a lot of other elements.
So we have to remember, Warner Brothers Montreal worked on Batman: Arkham Origins, which is kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Arkham series.
Yeah.
But Arkham Origins was heavily inspired by, if not inspired, but took probably some assets from, the Arkham series proper from Rocksteady.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that Rocksteady is necessarily involved like their day-to-day activities. However, I wouldn't be surprised if the two studios are talking to each other in terms of like, hey, so this is what we did with the combat system. Is there anything that you would add or subtract? And they'll probably write like some notes about it and then be like off and start working on their own thing.
Gotcha.
They're both studios are owned by Warner Brothers, so I mean, it would be very weird if they didn't talk at all.
Right.
Just like, if you talk about Sony Studios, Santa Monica talks with Naughty Dog, who talks with Sucker Punch, who talks with Guerrilla. They all talk to each other and they share things.
Right.
So on some level, they're probably communicating, but whether or not that they have like an active influence, probably not.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. So I don't know if this is a question, but what I would love to talk about is this 2-player co-op that is so very prevalent in this. And if anybody's been watching the show, Josh knows I am not a fan of online play. For me, I'm a very solitary human being. When it comes to the game system, I turn it on, I put in the game, I install it, I play it, I play it, I play it until I don't play it anymore. And every once in a while, I'll turn it back on. The idea of online play with first-person shooters just never really appealed to me, which is what we were talking about previously when it comes to Halo.
Yep.
Halo is never going to be something that just appeals to me. I may play it once in a while, not something I need to buy the system, buy the game, buy Xbox Live, and then go all out. Mm-hmm. So this is very interesting to me because this is definitely a game that I'm going to be acquiring and how it looks like 2-player co-op plays in this, I guess, this sandbox is intriguing to me. So tell me a little bit about this 2-player co-op from your understanding.
Yeah, so from what we know, based on like the trailers that have been shown and stuff, so this game will be cooperative play. You can do it single player if you want to, but if you want to have somebody join in on your game, you can. And then you guys would go through the mission together. And like perfect example that they showed in the gameplay reveal. Let's say I'm playing Barbara Gordon. I decide to go downstairs in a level. You were playing as Robin or whoever, and you decide to go upstairs, right? And you can start taking the guys out upstairs while I'm at the bottom, taking guys out down there. Alternatively, we can both go stealthy at the same time. We can both go, guns blazing, whatever it is.
Well,
and so that dynamic between how we play will determine like what goes on, basically.
Like going guns blazing if you are under the red hood, then guns blazing.
Literal
guns blazing.
Literal, yeah. But yeah, I mean it's really cool. There's also it's different in the fact that I don't know if you noticed, but there are levels above the NPCs' heads. So there is a level system now where you go level 10, 20, 30, whatever. I don't know what the level cap's probably going to be, 50 or something. So you're gaining experience, you're gaining levels, and so let's say you're level 5 and I'm level 15, and we go into an area. Things might be a little bit more difficult for you than it would be for me, and stuff like that. That's I don't know how I feel about that quite yet, because now that there's a leveling system, it makes it more RPG-ish. So I'm like, so is it going to be like, Assassin's Creed, for example? Assassin's Creed have been doing levels now since Origins.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see.
Based
on everything that I've seen so far, I'm really excited about the game.
So I'm curious to see exactly how this co-op plays. Like, is this going to be something where, if let's say you and I are playing in this co-op thing, if I'm playing a game and you join in, are you able to just play in my game? Or are we like creating a room, which is the world that is Gotham Knights, and you can do a mission, I can do a mission, and then we can meet up at a specific time? Like, I'm just imagining how this is going to work.
Yeah, I think if it's anything like, let's say Halo, for example. Halo, it's you just go through the campaign, just the two of you throughout the entire thing, and that's it. But if they're wanting this to be open worldy, I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah,
it could be. I guess it could be like maybe Grand Theft Auto style, where let's say you decide to go one place and I decide to go to another, and then we're both like, all right, let's both go do that mission really quickly, and then we converge on that mission.
Right.
Maybe it'll be like that.
I mean, that would be far cooler if that were the case. Because then I
would imagine, but we'll see.
I mean, just think about it. If I'm sitting there and playing a game and I'm up to one of the villains. Let's say, for example, I'm taking on, Penguin.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. I'm imagining it like
I'm curious to see what it does from a narrative standpoint of that.
Ooh, I see. This is something that really excites me. I really want to know more about this co-op. Like, I've never been excited for co-op play, or just online play, just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really cool to see how this would have worked in, let's say, a game series like Uncharted, because that game would have worked out perfectly.
I mean, Uncharted technically has its own co-op thing, but it's like a separate. It's not. It's separate. The story. It's a separate event.
I'm talking about. Imagine the story. Imagine Uncharted 4, when you're going through an island, and there's different sections of the island, and I'm taking one front, and you have a better shot than me in a game anyway. You come in and then you just assist me because you go stealth, and then I come in through the front and you take care of them, well, that sounded weird. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Like, I want to play the game. So this has me a lot more interested in this game than a certain other game that we may or may not talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to talk about it because it's a mixed bag, if you will. But let's take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the other planned game, and then we'll see what other time we got. And we are back. So the last game that's on the list to talk about is Suicide Squad. Now, this may sound very familiar, but that's because we talked about The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. We are talking about Suicide Squad, the game that's actually developed by Rocksteady. Josh, what can you tell me about this game?
Yep, so the full title of the game is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. We didn't get a lot of information. They only dropped a trailer. And the reason for that is because, we didn't mention Gotham Knights will be coming out in 2021.
Yes.
The reason we only got just a reveal trailer for Suicide Squad is because this game is coming out in 2022. So we have 2 years more to wait for this game. So we didn't get tons and tons of information. Just the basic plot, I guess. So you're going to be playing as 4 different characters. This game is also a co-op game, just like Gotham Knights. But you will be able to play as Harley Quinn, King Shark, Deadshot, or Captain Boomerang.
Looks interesting.
And pretty much your task to kill the Justice League.
Yeah, looks interesting to me.
Yeah. Looks very interesting. So the trailer, we'll put the links down below. But the trailer starts out with looks like Brainiac is destroying Metropolis.
It's not Brainiac. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 little dots to me scream out Brainiac. I don't know. So Brainiac, I would assume, is what's taking over the Justice League to make the Justice League, or at least in this case, Superman specifically. He's the only one that we see right off the bat into like this evil version of himself. He literally vaporizes a pilot with his heat vision as the Suicide Squad looks in terror, basically. And they figure out that he is the primary target that they have to take out.
Yep.
So it's a very interesting concept. It is Rocksteady, so I am confident that they will be able to pull this off. I just want to know, when can I play it? Obviously, it's 2 years away. It will be released only for next generation consoles, so only Series X, PS5, and PC. So if you got a PS4, sorry about you. You better upgrade.
I'm planning on doing that anyway, so I have no concerns there.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I'm super excited. I'm honestly more excited again for this game and Gotham Knights, just based on everything that they've shown. And Suicide Squad, they didn't even show that much, and I'm already this hyped up for it. So, but as we've learned, hype can go away very quickly. So
yes, it sure can. It sure can. Like this game that we may or may not talk about, but I mean, it looks interesting, and like I said, co-op play, and this concept, it really looks interesting. It just, I really wanted Rocksteady to talk about, like, after Arkham Knight, I was just on an emotional high, just because of how awesome that whole series was. I really enjoyed playing all those games. And I'm interested to see whatever Rocksteady comes out with. After playing that game, I really thought they were going to make a Justice League game, which would have been interesting. But they are going with Suicide Squad. So
I know I kind of brought this up on the last episode, but I would not be surprised if at a certain point we can play as some of the members of the Justice League.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Oh, and by the way, you had a question about Gotham Knights, was whether or not it took place in the Arkham universe, right?
Correct.
That game does not. This game does.
I don't get that either.
What do you mean? How do you not get that?
Because Deadshot was in the second game, Arkham City.
Correct. And
I know exactly what he looked like, because he shot me many times.
Yeah, so a lot of people brought that up.
Let's not be vague here. Let's just call it what it is. In Arkham City, Deadshot was in the game, and he never misses, as he tells you all the time.
Yes.
He is white. He's a white man.
Yep.
However, in this game, Deadshot is in this game, and he is not a white man. He is black.
Correct.
So it's very much, I guess, taking the cue from the first Suicide Squad movie.
Probably, yeah.
So, what? I don't get it.
I mean, it's their game. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Sure, but I have logistic questions about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if they decide to retcon the color of somebody's skin, it's whatever.
And if that's what it is, then it is what it is. But I mean, I just want to see more.
It doesn't change the way that I feel.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think the game looks great. It's Rocksteady, so they have not put out anything that has made me upset. I love the Batmobile. I love Arkham City. I love Arkham Asylum. I love all of those games. So,
sure.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Justice League the game. Who knows? They may, if I get to play as a Rocksteady version of Superman in this game.
Oh, I would love that.
If there is a moment, and if, to my lips to God's ears, if they do that,
and they do it right,
if they have the same type of attention to detail and fun and game mechanics and, just this overall feeling of what a game elicits to Superman, do you know what I would be doing? This would be amazing. Dude, you could fly anywhere.
Yep.
Finally, a game where you could fly anywhere. Not gliding like Sora.
Poor Sora.
I don't know why I'm knocking on Sora.
You're hurting Sora's feelings today. You've been playing too much Kingdom Hearts.
I haven't.
And that's saying something from me.
Have the compilation series, so I have it all. Yeah. But in any case, I'm curious. I'm really curious to see where this really goes.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens with this.
Yeah.
Again, wasn't necessarily excited about Suicide Squad as a team to begin with, but between James Gunn's version and this, I'm like, all right, I'm starting to like the Suicide Squad a lot more. So, I'm ready.
I'm ready too. I think I got used to the Suicide Squad after the animated movie. So when I saw the David Ayers movie,
it was a good movie.
It was good. So when I saw that one, I was just like, oh yeah, I can see how they're connecting it together cinematically. Looks good. Yeah. It didn't land everywhere, but who knows?
That's a discussion for another time.
For another discussion, for another episode, for another time. Do we have time to talk about the game that's outside of the DC fandom?
So,
you look so dejected.
Really, we can do this very quickly. So, this weekend, if you hadn't already been part of the exclusive beta that happened 2 weeks prior, or even the pre-order version that happened last week, there was an open beta this week for Marvel's Avengers.
Yep.
And in the beta, you can play 2 missions. The opening of the game and then another mission that's a few hours in, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also do multiplayer.
Yeah.
I was very excited to play this game. And then as, time went on and as everything was happening, I was becoming less and less interested, but I was still interested.
Right.
Then I heard about what everyone was saying about the beta, and I saw footage of it, and we talked about it and stuff like that.
We did.
And then finally, I got to play it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not so sure if I want to get it anymore. Here's the thing, not that it's bad. I don't think it's a bad game from what I've played so far.
Mm-hmm.
However, it doesn't feel like it should feel, and that's what's turning me off.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't think it helps that I also decided to go back and replay Spider-Man around the same time as well. And seeing how he feels in that game and how perfectly Insomniac was able to nail him. And then going to this game and seeing Crystal Dynamics, who I've also just recently finished playing the Tomb Raider series, also made by Crystal Dynamics, so I know they make good games.
Right.
It just doesn't feel right. So perfect examples. You start the game up, you immediately take control of Thor.
Right.
Thor, to me, he felt okay, but he felt kind of sluggish, which he's a big dude, so I guess that kind of makes sense.
Right.
But then they tell you to, hey, you can hold down, L2 or left trigger if you're on Xbox to throw the hammer, and then L2 to bring it back.
Right.
The second I did that, I'm like, all right, let's see how this feels, because we've both recently played a game that we know does the same exact thing.
Right.
AKA God of War.
Yep.
And I do it, and I'm like, all right, let's see how this feels, and it just didn't feel right. Like, after playing God of War for so long, and just that feeling of him throwing his axe and bringing it back, like, you feel it and you hear it, and it's perfect. I wanted that same thing for Thor. I didn't get it.
Got it.
So immediately I started playing, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see how everybody else controls. After Thor, you take control of Iron Man. Iron Man, his flight, which is probably his main thing, should feel fantastic. It felt weird.
Yeah.
It felt very off balance.
Yeah.
It felt like I wasn't controlling him properly.
Right.
His ground combat is fine when he's on the ground, which, again, he's Iron Man. He shouldn't be on the ground. He should be flying.
Right.
So right there, I was like, okay, that's not Iron Man. Then you take control of Hulk, which Hulk's whole thing is traversal. His whole thing is that he can leap feet and miles into the air.
Right.
And you're jumping from a truck to a wall to on the ground.
Right.
It, again, just doesn't feel good.
Right.
Him jumping doesn't feel good. His combat, though, is great. Like, the way that he moves, the way that he, flips the ground and stuff like that. That's great.
Right.
That's good. And then I finally got to Black Widow. And Black Widow, to me, felt like the most polished, felt like the most accurate. And the reason for that is because she feels like how Batman felt in the Arkham series. Right. She's very free flow and can, like, dodge and do all these things.
Right.
She also has a gun.
Right.
She felt great. I thought she was great. Then I got to Cap. Cap also felt very Arkham-ish. But again, throwing the shields didn't feel right. It felt way too flimsy.
Yeah.
And then finally, you get to play as Kamala in the second mission. And she was fine. And I kind of made this statement when we were talking in the group chat. The only reason I think that Kamala feels fine is because we don't have any real indication of how she should feel.
Right.
So this is kind of the first time that you're really controlling her and seeing her.
Right.
Unless you've obviously, like, read the comics and things like that. But this is the first time you're kind of really seeing this person being brought to life.
Right.
And you don't have any previous indication of how she should feel.
Right.
So she automatically feels fine.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So that's why I think she's okay. So, yeah, ultimately for me, I'm like, now I'm on the fence of if I want to get this game or not. Which before I was like, all right, let's go, let's do this. Now I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through with it.
Yeah.
What's your take?
So, similar in some regards. It's weird. It's definitely not terrible, but it's not something that I'm, like, clamoring for. But, like, it's also a beta. So, obviously, it's not like a demo, right? There's a difference between a demo and a beta. So, right. I think there's something to be, acknowledged in that space, that this is still a work in progress. Now, do I imagine that a lot of things are going to change? No. Do I imagine that some things are going to change for the better? Absolutely. I feel like they're fielding a lot of information before the release. Now, considering that this is going to be coming out in less than, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I don't know how much they could really change there, because if you're going to be buying the physical version, that already had to have been printed and put out. But there's this wonderful thing called patches, and there's a wonderful thing called the internet, where they do make some significant changes. I've seen it happen myself, so...
Well, yeah, there's always a day one patch nowadays.
Yeah, so I don't know if this game is going to be terrible. I did enjoy the beta. There are some things that I just have questions on. Like I said, when I played it, I think I played it a day after you. I got to Thor and I was just like, oh, so I wasn't excited to play Thor. I'll just put it that way. Yeah. I was just like, not really interested in Thor. I really want to play Iron Man. I really want to play Hulk. Like, those were the two that I was really gunning for out of all of them. So when I got to Thor, I was like, okay, I'll play as Thor. And I actually really enjoyed everything that he did. I loved the hammer. I loved the combat. I loved how he felt. I felt like I was, the hits that I was making hit. And I felt good playing his character. So I was like, okay, this is actually a great start. So I didn't have any problems with that. Even throwing the hammer, and I know God of War, like, when you talk about Santa Monica, I mean, they have perfected game making. So, I don't want to compare them and say, like, I want what you did there or this. I know it's not going to happen. So I'm willing to take a little bit of a change. And I know, again, certain things can be tweaked. So as far as Thor is concerned, played him, he was fine. Then I got to Iron Man. Super excited. Started flying as him. I was like, okay, feels not as tight as I feel like flight should be.
Right.
But I still enjoyed it. Still absolutely enjoyed it. I was like, okay, I'm getting it. I feel like I'm getting used to it. Cool. There might be a learning curve because I'm not the best when it comes to video games anyway. Got onto the floor. Hated the experience. I almost disengaged. I almost paused it and said, I don't know if I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And maybe that'll change. Like, I guess there'll be these moments where they'll show you what to do, like those tutorials during the actual gameplay. Because I'm walking around and I'm like, I'm not getting any of this. But I decided to push through, and I got through it, and I was like, okay, not a big fan of on the floor Iron Man. Not a fan. Mm-hmm. Him flying felt like from the floor to, to the sky, it felt clunky. And then after that, then I was Hulk. And I was like, okay, liking the Hulk, liking how he's moving, liking how he's jumping. I don't expect him to jump the entire length because gameplay mechanics and story. Like, I get it.
Yep. So
I was fine with him. Got to Black Widow. She felt pretty solid. So I was like, okay, out of all of these, I'm liking it. The only one I didn't like was the one person that I was actually looking forward to, which made me more upset than the other characters that I felt like played great. Got to Taskmaster and all that stuff. Then we zoom in on the helicarrier and we see Captain America. Wasn't really looking forward to him. Playing as him really didn't do much for me, to be completely honest with you. So I don't know. Yep. I don't know. Like, I suppose throwing the shield and having it come back to you should have felt better. Like, maybe that is what I was comparing Kratos to, not the hammer. The hammer felt better to me than the shield. Sure. So then he dies. And then I thought the beta was over. I actually said, I don't even know how to continue this beta. I didn't realize that when I turned it off and turned it back on, it actually led me past it. So I think I had a bug in mind. So that didn't feel great. So now I'm in the woods. I'm playing as Hulk. I see Kamala Khan, following her. Playing as Hulk felt a little bit better. Understanding how to jump a little bit higher to get to certain places. I'm like, okay, getting a little bit better. But I felt like the beta was just hard. And I didn't really know if I was missing something. I was like, is this game just going to be like absurdly hard? Then when I got inside, then I started seeing that you could level up certain characters. So as I did that, it did become a little bit easier. And I know there was this whole segment about how inside the game, you can level up the character to make it play best for how you wish to play. And I was like, okay. Sure. So I'm looking forward to that, because maybe flying will be a little bit less clunkier. Maybe throwing the hammer may have better consequences. Maybe the shield will have this automatic withdrawal after I throw it. I don't know. Maybe.
I did like the customization that you could start doing. Like, they let you get some skills and things like that. Mm-hmm. Which, obviously I knew they were going to have all that stuff in there. But, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is how most of the game is going to be. And so maybe you're definitely going to get it, right?
I wasn't. So it's interesting. I've been up and down about this game. When they announced the cinematic tease years ago, it may have been like 2015, 2016. I was super excited for this. And every single year I had asked you about this. This is like right around the time we first started the podcast. I was like, when are they going to make this game? When are they going to make some new announcements for this game? I had forgotten about it. I thought that they were going to cancel it. So when they announced it again, they said they were giving some more information. My opinion of the game dropped, like almost to the point of like, not interested anymore. because the graphics just look terrible. Now with this recent release and everything they've been doing with the last couple of months, graphics look a little bit better. They're talking a little bit more about gameplay. The beta comes out, and I'm like, it's weird. It's like it figured itself out right into the middle with a plus at the end of it. So, yeah, I want to play it. I really do want to play it. I do. I really do.
So what I might do then, because if I do pick this up, I probably won't pick it up until after I get a PlayStation 5.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to get it at launch, so September's already out. October's already out. If you decide to pick up the PS4 version, what we do sometimes, for those listening, is we'll do share play on PS4. So, we'll, put on the game, and then, let's say if Jace is having trouble getting through something, I'll kind of coach him, kind of like we did through Last of Us. Or I'll just watch him play, Kingdom Hearts the other day.
Right.
So what I may do is, if you do that, I'll probably share play so I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also through share play, you can technically take over, so you can also get a feel for the game.
Right.
I may have you do that, so see how I like the full version.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. As I understand it, if you do get the PS4 version, you should be able to get the free upgrade to PS5. I'm not exactly sure how that looks or how that's going to work. But according to Noah, giving him a big shout out, you should be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to it.
And Noah, if you're wrong, you will never live it down, just like you never let me live that one comment about Spider-Man down. So.
Oh, I love a good ribbing. Anyways. Yeah. So, there's a lot of games that are coming out. I'm interested. I feel like you would be eventually interested.
Yeah, I think so.
Plus, keep in mind that we also getting new characters. Ant-Man is definitely confirmed in it. Hawkeye's confirmed. And Spider-Man, dude. I know you're not going to say no to Spider-Man.
Yeah, but if I have him in a game, the full game, that's way better than, I don't know. We'll see.
You have a Spider-Man ringtone. I don't think you're going to say no.
Why you gotta put me on blast?
Just because you did. You did it.
That was for you. I said that in confidence.
So I put you on blast. I'm just saying, if you have Spider-Man paraphernalia, you're not going to say no to a game. You're just not going to. It's just not going to happen. Just get it. Just get it.
This is peer pressure right now.
Yes, it is.
Is this how you feel when I tell you to buy a PC?
Yes. This is exactly how I feel.
You should buy a PC.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, so I have to get Avengers, but you won't get a PC. I see how it
It's
is.
a $60 game. You're asking me to invest time and money and energy to build a PC for something I'm never going to use. Two different things.
I feel like it's the same, but
it really isn't.
It's kind of the same.
So give me a sticker price on a PC. Last thing before we go.
I mean, if you build one, my build came out to like $1,300.
And
$1,400.
And how much is Avengers the game with the free upgrade to PS5 and exclusive access to Spider-Man?
60,000.
Right. That's nice. That's really nice. So, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll tell you what. If you like what we had to say, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Jace Rockland, and Josh.
I am at JCA90. But you can also find us over on Twitter at FGC Podcast, which I have a poll up right now, by the way, that I made while we were talking. So you can vote between Kung Fu Panda or Shrek, and the only correct answer is Shrek.
That is incorrect.
But you can also visit us on Instagram as FGC Podcast or email us at freshgeekcontext@gmail.com.
Your answer is incorrect. And also, you can visit us on our website at freshgeekcontext.com for written articles, galleries, and videos, as well as Spreaker.com. Just search for Fresh Geek Context there or on any streaming platform of your choice. It goes a long way for us to know that you're listening, and share with your friends so they can be Fresh Geeks too. Vote Kung Fu Panda, everybody.
You will be on the wrong side of history if you vote Kung Fu Panda, just saying. The people will remember this day and look back and ever wonder, why would you be on the side of Kung Fu Panda?
So dramatic.
Shrek is life.